All right, many thanks for joining us again, and for those that are still part of this conversation. We are here to make sure that we continue giving you information regarding matters to do with business. And at this particular time, we're taking a look at the press review to check out some of those particular reports that have been making headlines across the business world. And as a matter of fact, there are a lot of those that some of you did not be or have no information regarding anything to do with business. That is why we're clearly here to make sure that we take you through and so that you understand some of those that have been making headlines from the weekend, and furthermore looking at prospects of this week and what we do expect.
Very well, and many of us might not actually tend to care at some point that COVID-19 still remains a reality and affecting some people in their businesses, not only around halting down their day-to-day activities, but impacting their income as well as expenditures, because I mean, when you're sick, you definitely have to go spend on treatment. And the Ministry of Health is again highlighting towards COVID-19 and making sure the campaigns that are ongoing are being undertaken by people. But we're still seeing, I got feedback on weekend. I had, conversation with a lot of people, friends, part of them were family, that, the embracement of vaccination around the country is a thing that we're now tending to divert from, because you're not hearing about vaccination processes anymore again, but rather now, and it's not just around here, but now we're hearing about Russia, Ukraine. We're now not hearing about how, for example, Afghanistan is faring with what was happening recently, or how refugees are, being mitigated on and being integrated on with a lot of services. And now COVID-19 is now tending, to be left out. But again, people are still dying, and governments are not highlighting it upon themselves, or giving advice rather than telling or being part of saying continue masking up, social distancing. But funds are still. Did you know that funds are still being dispersed in regards to COVID-19?
Because we're actually still receiving some donations,
yes.
Though. A few days back, we are still receiving some of the vaccines rather, on the vaccinations. But this comes at a time when Rwanda is almost hitting the 70% mark, becoming the very first African country
to hit its target.
To hit its target, and we did have this story last week, whereby the Rwandese government has been pushing greatly for COVID-19 vaccinations. And when you look at our country, Uganda, sad times that we still have a number of Ugandans who are yet to receive their second dose. For people who are even supposed to receive their second dose in February, now we're in March and they are yet to receive it. We have very few who have received both doses, and also very few who are receiving or who have received the booster vaccines or the booster jabs. But then when you look at those that have received the very first jab, there are quite a number, quite very many. But
and
now,
still talking about that, because it being a Monday like this, we generalize a lot of things, might get them on what is happening around the country, where we bring to you business desk, and this is generally things to do with social health, culture, even political at some point. We can go there. But we also help you to try and make sure you be a part of that particular challenge or problem solving that in turn is going to help, create some income for you. And as a result of COVID-19 tests done by 11th of March, because this is the last update from Ministry of Health, they are indicating and highlighting about the confirmed cases around the country being at just a moment, being less than actually 20 people because less than 40, because there are 32 new cases and cumulative one confirmed being highlighted, making it a total of around 163,506 confirmed cases. But when you look at the updates that are coming from Ministry of Health, if you could, get back to how they used to do it, deploying for us the areas, which is not being done at this point. That means that at least we are not embracing COVID-19 so much. It's nothing to talk about. It's not something heavy to speak about, but rather, I like the fact that now Ministry of Health is going into other campaigns, Joram, about tuberculosis now, which is also being highlighted as a killer disease for a majority of the people around the country, highlighting that tuberculosis is killing around 30 Ugandans daily, that is per day. And on 13th, that is around the day before, the Ministry of Health headquarters around there were discussions ongoing to make sure they mitigate and have campaigns related to tuberculosis. And probably we're going to also be following up on programs in regards to vaccinations, not only COVID-19, but how government is trying to merge and integrate all these campaigns for safety of Ugandans, especially for the younger generations, because a lot of disease control is being highlighted for the people under 12 years, people under 5 years. Because if you do not treat that better, you're not going to have a very healthy, congregation or population. But away from that, away from the healthy part around what is happening around the country, kudos to the government for making sure that they're ensuring or continuing to ensure there is continuity of health facilitations for Ugandans.
Well, now let's also have a look at something that is actually happening on regards to business here in, this particular one takes us to Russia again, as nearly half of Russia's reserves have been frozen in regards to information that is coming out in here. Now, this is courtesy of The Independent, as nearly half of Russia's roughly 640 billion US dollars of gold and foreign currency reserves have been frozen. When you look at this situation and what is actually happening and what is actually going on in regards to that, if you'll excuse me for the sound that has actually been produced in there. Now, speaking of which here, if we had to look at that, according to a Russian TV program that will pay rumbles to its debt holders, says that Russia will clearly get to pay something to do with a lot of money coming in from that particular
internet
one.
is messing Jerome up. You're having technical problems. You can first definitely sort that out. As we continue heading to East African community, where the single currency unlikely will be uncovering during the 2024 that is coming from the central bank. We earlier on had stories running on how the central bank wants to emerge at least into one currency, the East African currency, as a single currency that would help mitigate trade activities and help East African community or even countries to make sure we trade with that single currency. This is going to come out with a lot of, I can say, not exploitation, but opportunities for countries like Uganda, countries like Kenya, Tanzania, we've got Ethiopian board now, and DRC now. And DRC joining the East African bloc, that means that what is bound to be, or what is bound to have, been part of East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, is now definitely going to cross over to the western part of Africa, being DRC as the middleman there. So that is coming with great opportunities. But trading with a single currency, what does it exactly mean for you? You can as well share your comment in the comment section to let us know what you think. Jerome Sonko, as you come back with what you were telling us, let's conclude on the single currency with a...
I need to give my verdict on that one.
Yes, please.
Well, first of all, it's actually going to eliminate the issue of poor performing currencies, whereby you will have to see that we shall not be on the issue of saying that this currency is performing.
Comparing currencies. Kenyan shilling.
Yes. And now when you look at that, clearly, because some of, when you look at the performance of the currencies, some of them are actually performing better than even ours. Though even Uganda is not performing badly, though when you look at the report, the analyst reports that actually was released by the end of year 2021. But clearly, having a joint currency is very good, eliminating the issue of going into Kenya and then trying to look for a forex bureau somewhere. So it can become actually easier for you to move from Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, even the Democratic Republic of Congo. Oh, am I forgetting? South Sudan. You can still move with that single currency from the East African community.
And this will also bring in line with or in alignment with the value of goods and services we are offering as East Africa, because you can imagine if you're trading, for example, if you're going to buy downtown, you're buying. I'm not going to use that example.
It is very okay. Downtown has the fairest prices you'll ever meet in Kampala.
Okay, Jeremy, you're going shopping your favorite suits. I don't know where you shop from, but you're shopping.
It's both ways, uptown and downtown. Where I land on a good product is where I step foot.
Okay, where you arrange or organize your wardrobe from depends on you. But you can imagine you going to Kenya, buying Kenyan fabric and allowing it to trade in the country here, making it easier for, there is that collaboration that is going to come in regards to service and production delivery between the countries. You realize if you're Kenya, right? And I'm Uganda. And this phone in Kenya, no, let's use fabrics. The type of fabric maybe covering this tablet here is very different, or it could be the same actually for Kenya, but the prices are not the same. Did you know that? The prices differ, and what makes that differ is around the currency, because definitely a 1,000 is a different one from the Kenyan shilling, whereas the Ugandan shilling is different. So you may find the 1,000 is just maybe a 500 of Kenyan shilling. So this is going to create that difference, or is going to bridge that gap of differentiations in regards to production or service delivery. And in the end, we're going to have at least a development, and our people would be scared or have been scared of going to Tanzania, crossing to Tanzania. I mean, you don't know how you're going to trade. But with a single currency, you would be sure that I am going to use this money, this is the amount that I will have to be, I don't have to have any converting processes. So that allows reality in trade processes, and in the end we are good to go with making sure both countries are in line when it comes to mitigating trade barriers.
All right, I'm not talking Russia anymore because it seems things were were happening when I was speaking of Russia. Let's look at what is coming on as well.
Don't put it on Russia. Try it out.
In regards to issues to do with an Indian who is on the run.
I really can't tell you have moved on. You move on quickly.
20 billion shillings. And the Indian here is actually coming in. This information is happening from Kampala, Uganda. As there is an Indian who is on the run over a fake 20 billion pharmaceutical transaction. So the Criminal Investigation Directorate, which is the CID, is hunting for a one Sinj Gujinda for allegedly defrauding manufacturers and distributors of pharmaceuticals in Uganda of more than 20 billion Ugandan shillings. Gujinda, who holds double citizenship, is believed to have fled to India after this particular case happening or being opened up on his regard, because now the CID is greatly looking for him. He has allegedly been procuring healthcare supplies from, among other pharmaceuticals, which include Rennie Industries Limited and Rennie Pharmacy Limited, on credit, but failed to clear the debts despite having sold the products. Well,
okay, then.
I still imagine what the losses is actually put on these people. It is alleged that Gujinda, who traded under Escort Pharmaceuticals Limited, located at Richard House along Martin Road in Old Kampala, who also issues a fake employment letters to its employees, to his employees. He is the owner of the pharmacy around Martin Road. And it is alleged that he also issues fake employment letters to his employees who would use them to get loans from banks. And Gujinda, who allegedly forces his employees to give him the biggest percentage of the money they have. Oh, first Indian to see, who is not easy to deal with. And when you look at...
And police has got
the commercial banks and
down.
pharmaceutical manufacturers are hunting down for Saint Gujinda, who is facing a fraud probe under criminal reference CID C40207. As there is actually the managing director, Rene Industries Limited, Rishikesh Vadadoria. Well, he's actually dealing also with his fellow Indians still, but still taking money from them.
Business is everywhere. I mean,
not even fraud. It is like robbing people. 20 billion shillings.
Business is everywhere. You can imagine if you seize an opportunity that you can actually try to, and I am not off record, I am not saying that you should go robbing people, you should go, being fake, or you should do counterfeit, or you should be really in cash insecurities here. I'm not saying that, but I am telling you there is opportunity, or there is an opportunity that can come. At first sight, you might think that it is this is a great deal, it's a genuine one, but not knowing that people who are facilitating it from the ground, this could be actually in ties with their securities or theftiness, for example. Like one of the suppliers you are highlighting didn't know at some point maybe they're dealing with, or even the employees cannot know that Joram here, their boss, is swindling or is into corruption or any kind of insecurities. But then things we do as individuals or as entrepreneurs individually is bound to hold down or even can just put your business away with just a blink of an eye.
And they can clearly destroy even your customer base. More so if at all, either, even if it's not even your boss, or if at all it is an employee who is actually indulging in some of these particular activities of frauding the customers. Clearly, you could say that it can tarnish the name of the brand, it can tarnish the name of the company.
Even your family as well.
Even your family. And because you can only feel
and
the
just
pinch
relating
of,
it to this recent reports and investigations ongoing for the Mulago boss who is being investigated for misuse of his office. Yes, you can imagine you've got family. I don't think they're looking at you the same way. Each time something comes out, moreover in public, because you're a public servant and media is there, to watch everywhere. And
family may not be judgmental though, but
are you sure about that?
It can feel the hand. It can actually feel the hand.
Yeah, they may not judge,
but they may be hurt by the situation. Reason being why family will not be judgmental is you have been the breadwinner, for example. You are the breadwinner. Now they'll try to get back and say, oh, well, is this the way he has been getting the money? They will feel hurt in a way that, well, you've been exposed, and also their family now will also be looked at as a family of a fraudster. But they may not judge you at any point because in the long run, they've been benefiting from whatever you've been doing.
Do you feel you can lose respect?
Well, among us, even when it comes to your CV, in terms of employment, this alone can tarnish everything, because you know what they say, it takes time for you to create a name for yourself or to create a brand, but it will only take a second for everything to go down to ashes. So
more so if you're in scandals of corruption, if you're in scandals of murder or insecurity and theftiness, that would probably bring that, especially if you are doing that particular, if you're involved in those particular insecurities or situation. But I mean, I feel like there's situations or scenarios that you feel are more personal, right? Adultery, we see sexuality scandals arising in public, and to me that is between individuals. Sometimes family tend to just let it be. I don't know if you realize that for majority people we've seen on social media, even coming out to say, especially around sexual immoralities that are happening, I don't see much of the family comments. You know, they just let it be. So most of the impactful ones are around murder, insecurities, and theft. But away from that, how about Russia and African countries, or how about Ukraine and African countries? How are still, or how they are being merged together? Now around 12, just over the weekend there, Russia ramped up with ties with Sudan as Ukraine war continues to range around there. What you need to know is that Russian investments in Sudan, especially around gold and ties with security forces, have remained surrounded around the ability there to make sure they integrate as a country. And as much as the West seeks to isolate Russia after its invading or after its invasion with Ukraine, experts say that Moscow is boosting relations with the longtime African ally Sudan, eyeing it with gold, wealth, and a strategic location. So this comes after, you know, now they're making on how they're to make ties with Sudan as a country. But the highlight is coming from a business sense, you know, targeting the gold and mines with the location that Sudan has. Sudan is one of the countries that has been a war zone, and since then is not getting a lot of stability in regards, you know, to for investment.
It's actually the youngest country in Africa, and also one of the most struggling countries. If you look at the top 10 poorest countries on the continent, Sudan is among those as well. But it can also still be attributed to the civil wars that were happening during the time, still ongoing, not too much physical at the time, but still, and these were brought about by the fact that it is actually a struggle for leadership, still creating room, and also looking back at the time when Sudan had to break off from their northern neighbors. So clearly, even the northern part of Sudan now, that is Sudan away from the Republic of South Sudan, still facing situations currently after their leader in Umar Bashir, had to actually step down after being ousted by the army. So clearly,
yeah, and we're now looking at how Khartoum is losing out or lost crucial Western support since the army that you were talking about, actually, from Chief Abdul Fattah there, who was leading the army coup around last October. We're moving on, triggered broad condemnation and measures that included a suspension of around $700 million aid from Sudan, and now Russia is looking this as an opportunity. You know, when they suspend, God forbid, let me not even use the example of suspending the both of us, but suspending, okay, when we suspend these two tablets in front of us, we're the bosses, I mean, at some point, these two tablets are going to become friends. Am I right or wrong?
Because now they're being put into that suspension, whereby they have to see that we are the enemies who have suspended them.
Exactly. You got it right. Breakfast on me. And like you see that scenario, so a lot of the integrations are now coming up with Russia trying to come together with Sudan, making sure they allies together, at least maybe to fight the enemy. I do not know even if Ukraine here is the enemy really, but we're still there waiting on how the peace will come out from Russia, Ukraine. Whereas Russia is trying to mobilize allies with Sudan, Ukraine has opened up, you know, opened up for entries. If you know, Durham, you can fight, you can surely go and define Ukraine around there. But away from that, more will be coming up maybe after the break, as Jerome Postonko will take us through mainly what will be coming or what we anticipate after the break.
And after the break, we still continue with more discussions regarding what is happening, making headlines from the papers, and also we shall be looking at some of the issues regarding traders being ambushed in Karamoja, a very big topic out there, but now they have resumed food supplies in the region. Those are among the key stories that we do have for you after the break. Stick around.